Hi guys, welcome back to the channel. Welcome back to another crypto walk and talk. So it's just out getting some fresh air and basically getting some exercise out and about and enjoying a little bit of the English countryside whilst picking up the camera and talking a little bit about cryptocurrency and what is going on in the space. So buckle yourselves in. No doubt I'll be out of breath as I am so unfit as I try to talk to you a little bit about what's going on in crypto. As I get into the video, you know what to do. Smash that like button. I do appreciate that. If you're new, subscribe. Don't forget to join us down in Discord though. That's pretty much the bulk of everything that we do down there. So why not check that out? Link is in the description down below. So yeah, let's talk a little bit about Bitcoin. Let's talk a little bit about cryptocurrency and what's going on at the moment. We'll take a little bit of a detour down here. Why not? So as we've kind of seen a little bit of volatility in the market for Bitcoin and for the altcoins, and a little bit unexpected, I guess, to a point. I mean, we were expecting natural, healthy pullbacks. We've seen a pretty decent one for Bitcoin and for altcoins. Nothing terribly unusual. It's not above and beyond kind of like the norm of what you would expect to see from retracements and things like that. It has come down a little bit deeper than what you would have expected. Pretty much, you know, from a Fibonacci retracement point of view, we had pulled back a little bit deeper than the normal areas of retracement. But again, I look at the market at the moment very much as a kind of liquidity grab, if you will. So it's not surprising that Bitcoin and these altcoins have moved down a little bit more aggressively than you were kind of naturally expecting. So it's the same reason, the same kind of thought pattern that we saw when the price of Bitcoin and the altcoins were moving to the upside. It was also a little bit above and beyond what you would normally have expected to see anyway. And so you kind of see the same thing in reverse to the downside. And so we have seen a few liquidations for Bitcoin. I think it's hovering around $30 million in the last 24 hours of liquidations on BTC. Of which I think 71% were long positions that were basically wiped out. Okay, this isn't unusual or anything like that. This is very much just kind of what you'd expect considering a little bit of market volatility. Now, what do I expect to happen next? Well, my expectations are very much that Bitcoin's price action is going to be moving back up. Now we've liquidated a few long positions, price will naturally want to move up and look for basically trying to grab and liquidate those short positions next, right? And so I still see Bitcoin targeting out around that $39,000 to $40,000. That hasn't really changed. Still see that kind of playing out quite nicely. And for altcoins as well, we see very similar kind of patterns and similar structures. Whether you're tracking, you know, the price action of Solana, still looks like it's targeting up a little bit further. Cardano's ADA still looks like it's going to have a little bit more of a push to the upside, Chainlink and so forth, right? And so we are still kind of bullish on the shorter timeframes for these cryptocurrency assets. That hasn't really changed. On the medium to longer term, I guess everything that we're starting to see happen in the market is kind of confirming that, yeah, we're more than likely going to be having a bit of a tumble to the downside, and we are likely to see a bit, you know, of a natural healthy correction, profits being taken off the table and accumulation to kind of continue at some of these lower levels. And I do want to kind of talk a little bit about accumulation because I think it can be a little bit confusing at times as to kind of the things that we talk about and the way that we talk about them. Because if you take it out of context, it can be quite confusing, right? And so if you only watch like the one video here or there, then it might seem a little bit unusual for us to kind of say, oh, dollar cost averaging, you know, so time is running out and all these kind of things. But in the context of the grand picture and the bigger picture, ultimately, yeah, it makes a lot of sense because I still have positions that I haven't yet acquired, and I still do expect price action to move on down so that I can get into these positions, right? I'm talking, you know, some altcoins going down into new bear market lows, which will split opinions. Many altcoins though, and Bitcoin included, do not look like they have to go down into new bear market low points. It's not to say that they can't, it's that I don't think they have to anymore. So when we were kind of below $30,000, it made sense for many of these altcoins and Bitcoin to go down into new bear market low points, right? If Bitcoin was kind of getting rejected at around $30,000, $31,000, it made sense for Bitcoin to go down to 17, 15 and test those existing lows. Now Bitcoin's pushed up towards kind of, 36, 37 bordering kind of $38,000, we have to appreciate that, maybe those existing lows will not get retested. I still think we have the potential to test deeper. Around 40% reduction in Bitcoin's price, I think, is something to be expected in my humble opinion, but it doesn't necessarily mean that a new bear market low is coming for Bitcoin anymore. Okay, that kind of ship potentially has sailed. Not necessarily the same for all altcoins though. I still see Cardano with a potential retracement going down a little bit deeper than its current bear market low point, and a few others as well, which I still see potential bearish structures still there. They haven't been broken yet, which basically means that we haven't seen that breakout moment for some of these altcoins in the same way that we have seen for things like Bitcoin, Solana, Chainlink, for example. These ones I'm more confident on thinking that the bottom is in. Okay, so I still think that there's opportunity in accumulating Solana, Chainlink, Bitcoin at a suppressed price, 50% maybe, from its current position, maybe around that kind of level, and maybe even a little bit deeper in some cases. But for the most part, that basically means that our accumulation has to continue at a slightly different level, which means dollar cost averaging, and that dollar cost averaging strategy is really important. It allows you to kind of dollar cost average at all of these levels without the concern that you're missing a potential bottom, right? You just have an average price over time. And so I kind of wanted to clear the air a little bit today whilst out on this walk, just to kind of talk a little bit around what I'm seeing in the space in terms of, I do think that there is going to be a pretty healthy correction in the market, considering how much Bitcoin and the crypto market has lifted up recently. A nice healthy correction to the downside, I think, is very much expected. Now, that means that some altcoins will hit new bear market lows, and it will mean that others will just have a nice healthy correction back down, and you can continue to dollar cost average, continue to accumulate at those levels. Okay, and I really want to kind of air that out because it can be confusing if you kind of missing some of the context of what it is that we talk about on the channel, because ultimately there's so many altcoins to be keeping an eye on that you just don't necessarily know whether certain altcoins are going to be having new bear market lows or whether or not you need to be buying at a slightly different elevated level, for example. That's kind of why we have our memberships. We have the accumulation zone document, which is areas that I think we are likely to see the next step of accumulation for many altcoins, Bitcoin included. And this is something that's available to all members, right? This isn't just exclusive content that is designed for top tier package members or anything like that. This is fully open to any member over at membership.𝗕𝗘𝗪crypto.io. There is, of course, a link in the description down below. Now, that particular document will track many different altcoins that I'm charting and will basically give my thoughts and opinions on where I think we are likely to find the next set of accumulation zones for those assets. And I think that's a real helpful document with our members. They kind of track that. Now, if you are a member, obviously, and you're in the Discord, all of that information gets compounded and compacted down again, and you get a notification in the Discord server when one of those crypto assets actually goes into the zone, okay, into that accumulation zone. We actually ping out a notification into the Discord as well. So there's some great things going on there, and we don't miss the boat terribly too much. And we kind of give you some clear examples, actually. We had AGIX, right, Singularity Net accumulation zone, I think was 3.5 to I think 5.5 cent back in the latter part of 2022. And obviously in the Discord, it was pinging up all of the alerts to say that AGIX is inside the accumulation zone. And had you taken advantage of that, well, you saw that surge at the beginning of the year upwards towards 66 cent, new all-time high for AGIX, and fantastic gains. I think it was like 1,800% gains in a very short period of time. And again, that's the power of these accumulation zones and the power of understanding that we are talking about moving targets, right? We're not saying that they're going to always have new bear market low points. Sometimes bear market lows are done, they're dusted, you won't see them again. And as such, that allows you to basically dollar cost average every time that these altcoins eventually hit into those accumulation zones, right? And you average your price out over a significant period of time, and you get a really good average price for your assets. And I'm out of breath as I climbed up that hill there. So I kind of wanted to air that out there a little bit, just to kind of say that it can be confusing if you're just watching one video in isolation, you're not really in the Discord, you're not really engaging in the community and understanding, what it is that we're talking about, because we do expect retracements in price for many different altcoins and Bitcoin included. Some will go down into new bear market lows, others will not. And it's about knowing where you're going to be dollar cost averaging ahead of that next bullish market. And there's, sorry about that, just twisted you around there. And so there's many opportunities in what is coming, right? If you choose to acknowledge it. What you don't want to do necessarily, in my opinion, is kind of go all in up front and basically just kind of suffer like a 50% loss on your holdings just because you were impatient and you didn't want to wait for a healthy correction. At the same time, you know, sometimes that kind of stress and anxiety isn't for everyone, right? Waiting and having stable coins on the side, just kind of hoping that price goes down, can be very nerve-wracking as well. So you've got to find a strategy that works for you, right? Sometimes it's just better to kind of get in the market and forget about it. Ultimately, the prices that we see today are very, very juicy prices. I still think many of these altcoins will go up significantly higher in the bull market. And so buying and holding now, I don't think is the end of the world, as long as you don't succumb to the fear that it's going to zero and start selling at losses. So it all depends on the individual, your strategies as to kind of how you apply yourself to the market. Sometimes dollar cost averaging and forgetting about things is great. Sometimes just going all in and not having to worry about buying back in or selling and stuff like that until, you know, 2025 is also a great strategy for many people. As is people who are on a budget and like to kind of get best bang for their buck. Which is basically follow the market and accumulate at the right points in time. Try to get as close to the bottom as you possibly can. Each of these have different stresses, different anxiety levels, and you can't have one strategy that suits all. So you have to kind of choose one that works for you. But ultimately, I just wanted to put a video out there just to kind of explain why things might seem a little bit strange on the channel from time to time, and you know, you're not really kind of getting a good understanding as to where we are within structures and stuff like that. Hopefully you did find this useful. I'm going to call this it for today's video. I'm going to get on with my walk and get back before it starts raining and all that kind of stuff. So if you have found it useful and informative, smash that like button. I do appreciate that. If you are new to the channel, why not go ahead and subscribe, tap the bell, select all the notifications, and in doing so, you will be kept up to date with everything that we do here at Cheeky Crypto. Until the next one though, guys, have a fantastic day.